Before My Heart Gives Out by Kira 18 on AO3. Chapter 7 On My Own. Again, this time make sure to put your weight behind it. It won't be as effective otherwise. Izuku lectured as he helped his friend get back on his feet. For the past few months, Izuku trained Shinsou. After all, UA's entrance exam was just around the corner. The purple-haired teen, having dreamt of being a hero since a very young age. However, just as Izuku previously pointed out, Shinsou couldn't solemnly rely on his quirk. Knowing that the exam was heavily dependent on physical quirks, the UA entrance exam takes place in 4 days. Izuku trained Shinsou as best as he could in the short time they had. Up until now, they made great progress. Shinsou's stamina and strength improved greatly. His fighting style had developed too, since he could last more than 2 minutes while sparring with Izuku now. Shinsou still had a lot of improving to do, but Izuku was confident that he'd be able to pass the entrance exam at least. He still had a long way to go, but he was definitely on the right track. They continued sparring for a few minutes, and finally took a much-needed break. Both of them dropping on the soft sand. Shinsou considerably sweatier than the greenette. The latter barely had broken a sweat yet. After all, they had years of experience setting them apart. Izuku. Gaining the Vigilante's attention, Shinsou continued. Why don't you come to UA with me? The teen in question huffed in response, dropping his back onto the ground. Milky green eyes looking straight into the sky, despite the darkness in his vision. Shinsou. Midoriya started slowly, knowing that his friend was serious about this. People go to high school to prepare for their futures. I'm already doing hero work. There's no point in going to UA if I don't even have a future. The answer hurt more than Shinsou thought it would. Even after all these months, Shinsou still was having a hard time wrapping his mind around the situation. The all-too-real sadness that engulfed his heart with sorrow every time he was reminded of their limited time together. Every time he watched his friend, every laugh, every joke, every move. He'd try to enjoy the little things, the little moments they shared. It still wasn't enough, though. It will never be enough. The greenette wasn't finished talking. Besides, I can't really go to any school. Legally, I mean. I'm a runaway. If I wanted to get into a school, I'd have to be in the system. They'll just make me stay with some foster family. Knowing that he had ran away from the orphanage the first time, they wouldn't risk sending him back there. Would that be so bad? Shinsou spoke up again, trying to convey his own worry to his friend. He just wanted Izuku to connect with people again, stop pushing everyone away. These past few months, they'd gotten closer. However, it still felt like there was this wall separating them. Izuku was still shutting him out, subconsciously or not. Izuku needed people to rely on. He can't keep doing all of this alone. Silence met his question. He thought his friend had fallen asleep, if not for the slow blinking of his unseeing eyes. It's unfair, isn't it? Midoriya said, after a few minutes. However, before Shinsou could ask about his statement, the Vigilante continued. I mean, it's unfair for them. I can't just barge into people's lives, Shinsou, join their family only to check out eventually, only to hurt them afterwards. The teen's voice was calm, as if stating facts. Pure, unarguable facts. I'm gonna die, Shinsou. When I do, I like for it to be as painless as possible for everyone. What about your pain? His throat felt clogged, his eyes burning as he looked into the passive expression on his friend's face. His voice, coming out sharper than intended as anger built inside of him. Do you ever think of that? My pain is irrelevant. Sitting up, the teen made sure to face his friend. I had a lot of time to get used to the facts, Shinsou. Now please, drop it. Whatever fight Shinsou had in him evaporated as soon as his friend finished the sentence. The emotion flashing in the greenette's face showed the desperation behind his words. Same time tomorrow? Shinsou asked quietly, knowing that the greenette needed to leave soon. They had established a schedule in the past few months. They'd go out on a run in the morning, spar and train afterwards. Izuku would work at the coffee shop in the evenings, and then go out on his night patrols. Shinsou felt guilty for taking so much time from the greenettes, but the latter would reassure him that he wanted to train in the morning either way. Yeah, but make sure to study some more with the written exam too. See you tomorrow. The teen waved as he opened his cane with a click. My shift starts soon. With that, they parted ways. Izuku needed to get himself semi-presentable for his day job. That process consisted of a slightly unpleasant trip to the gas station, getting himself refreshed, or more accurately, as refreshed as someone could get from public showers. He'd gotten used to it, though, getting by and working with what he had. He was grateful for the things he did have. The warehouse was God-sent. Ryu wasn't even here, and he still was the reason Izuku had a roof over his head. Although food, water, and other necessities he needed to work for. He sometimes wonders if it was the right decision to leave the orphanage. These thoughts would simmer into the front four of his mind every time his stomach grumbled on days where he couldn't afford to buy himself enough food. Every winter spent huddled up against one of the warmer corners of the warehouse. Every time he had to scavenge the dumpster for new clothes, and every hour he spent working to get enough money to survive. He doubts anyone actually went looking for him, though. No one cares about the runaways. They were considered delinquents, troublemakers. Like many others before him, he slipped between the cracks in the system. He'd been forgotten. The bell above the door rings as he walks into the coffee shop. Ah, Midoriya, right on time. Miss Eleanor called out as soon as he stepped in. He had to work. 3 hours later, Izuku found himself exiting the coffee shop and going into an alley. This was when his real job started. Making quick work of checking for any witnesses and changing into a suit, he made his way to the building's rooftop. The night, like many Monday nights before, was quiet. Still, he did stop a few robberies here and there. Most of the time, there were small-time villains trying their luck. Normally, a quiet night was a good night. However, as time went by, Shadow couldn't help but feel as if he was being watched. Hearing an additional heartbeat wherever he went. It started sometime after his second rescue of the night. Someone was following him. Holding his Esmeralda rods tighter in his hand, he ducked into an empty alley, a dead end. Stretching his senses, he detected a man crouched behind the wall, leaning into said alley. Look, whoever you are, I know you're following me, so you can stop now. Tell me what you want, he demanded calmly, taking advantage of his anonymity to seem older. After a few seconds, footsteps could be heard coming his way. Impressive. I'm usually harder to notice. The approaching figure spoke, the man's voice gruff, holding a certain tone to it. A predator zeroing in on its prey. I heard a lot of things about you, Shadow. Well, Mr. Stranger, I can't say it's mutual. He could tell he caught the guy off guard, the man shifting his position at his words. Izuku didn't like the aura he was getting from the stranger. His heat signature was off, too. Somehow, most of the heat was centered in his hands. Maybe a touch-based quirk? Don't try to be clever, brat, the man hissed under his breath, before gaining his composure back. I'm here with an offer. You'll be smart to hear me out. I'm a very dangerous person after all. A villain, then. You've been making a riot in the underground world, Shadow. Both heroes and villains are after you. You've been at it, what, 2 years? And still no one seems to be able to get their hands on you. What can I say? I'm playing hard to get. Ignoring his comment, the villain continued. My name is Shigaraki. I'm the leader of the Leagues of Villains. I want you to join us. Every word was punctuated with a step closer. Izuku slowly, undetectably getting into a fighting stance at the same time. You have skills, and from what I've seen, you could hold your own against the heroes. Yet you don't seem to actually harm any of them. I'm confused as to whose side you're on. Join me. We can tear the society down once and for all. Join the winning side. Dude, no hard feelings and all. I'm flattered, really. But I'm gonna have to decline. He laughed it off, hoping that would be the end of that. If we're done here, I'm gonna go on my way now. Oblivious to the mounting rage on Shigaraki's features, Izuku sidestepped the man, speed walking into the alley's exit, already taking out his burner phone, waiting to inform Tsukauchi. You're a fool, Shigaraki hissed threateningly, his hands reaching into Izuku's arm before he had a chance to dodge, 4 fingers squeezing into his flesh. Only the pinky was lifted. You think you can walk away from me, brat? Pain erupted in his arm, his nerves flailing as his flesh got disintegrated. It only lasted a few seconds, though. The villain quickly redacting his hand before any real damage could be dealt. This is a warning, Shadow. You might want to rethink your loyalties. The next time I won't be as forgiving. With that, a dark swirl of something, Izuku couldn't quite say what it was, popped out of thin air, taking the maniac away with it. Anger bubbled in Izuku's gut, both at the villain and himself. He should have acted, should have taken the guy out. He didn't have proof enough, any indication of criminal activity. No one would believe the word of a vigilante, even if the guy basically confessed to being the leader of an elite villain organization. The pain in his arm only served to anger him even more. He couldn't tell just how bad it was. However, from the slowly doling pain, he guessed it was only a flesh wound. Puffing out an annoyed breath, he made his way back to the rooftop. He needed a quiet place to patch himself up. So he sat there, perched on one of the ledges, looking down on the city below, slowly wrapping his arm in bandages. He'd always pack some in his utility belt, knowing that he'll use them eventually. If not for himself, then for the victims he saved. However, just as he felt himself starting to calm down, he sensed the presence of another person coming closer to his position. His day just kept getting better, didn't it? Shadow. A familiar voice spoke up. Look, if you're here to arrest me, I'm not in the mood right now. So if you don't mind, I'm just gonna walk away, alright? He called out before the figure could get too close, getting up from his seated position, ready to bolt at any moment. Wait, don't. I'm not here for that. Aizawa responded in a hurry, his voice wavering in the beginning. Crossing his arms, making sure that despite the mask, the man knew that he didn't really believe him. What do you want, then? I wanted to thank you for saving my life, Shadow. Without you, I wouldn't be here right now. Izuku didn't quite believe what happened next. The vigilante was pretty sure his mind was playing tricks on him. According to his heightened senses, the hero was bowing? Eraserhead was actually bowing to Izuku. Him, of all people. The vigilante who's been nothing but a pain in the hero's ass? Coughing under his breath, he urged the hero to straighten up, the man rising back to his full height in response. Don't feel too special, Eraser. I would have done that for anyone. He tried to level the hero with a smirk or some kind of glare, despite his eyes being covered, yet Eraserhead seemed to see right through his act. You would, wouldn't you? The underground hero whispered in something that Izuku didn't want to admit was close to awe. Why not become a hero, then? You'd obviously get into the hero course. Again with that. Why were people that stubborn today? I'm no hero, Eraserhead. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna leave now. you're dying. The phrase wasn't spoken as a question. The man uttered the words as if they were nothing but the undefiable facts. He knew. I think I'd know if I was dying, Eraser. Flending a look down at his body, as if to look for any obvious injuries, he continued his way off the roof. A medic with a health quirk saw you. You don't have to lie to me. The man's words were calm, but Izuku could hear his frantic heartbeat. If you come with me, maybe we can help you. We could find a way. Why couldn't people just leave him alone? Help me? A sharp laugh erupted from his throat without his consent. No humor behind the sound. No one can help me, Eraserhead. His tone was serious, leaving no space for arguing. With that, he took off, jumping from the roof onto the fire escape, making a quick exit out of the hero's sight. He didn't have time to waste. After all, his time was precious. These words never had a darker meaning to them before. Oh wow, this chapter didn't make me cry. Would you look at that? Amazing, wonderful. I'm not crying. All right, onto my notes. I'll stop being cheeky. Oh my god. The whole Shinsou being like, yeah, he's pushing people away. He's pushing people away. I don't even know if he's doing it subconsciously, consciously, he's pushing people away. And I agree with you, Shinsou, he's pushing people away. He's doing that. It's an unhealthy behavior, but he's doing it anyways. Because it's Izuku. It's Izuku. Next one is Izuku leaving the orphanage. I don't know if that's a good call or a bad call. The bullying probably would have gotten worse, so maybe it was a good call, but at the same time, there's days where he goes without eating. There's, obviously winters are fucking hell for him, probably, because it's cold as fuck. It's literally one of those, pick your poisons kind of thing. You either get bullied and have a warm place and food every day, and, you get just tormented, or you live torment-free, but you have to suffer hot winters, that don't make sense, cold winters, hot days, days without eating, but at least you're not getting tormented by your peers, right? So it's like the whole pick your poison. There is no good answer, there is no good reason, it's literally just pick which one you would rather do, and there's no good or wrong answer. For each individual person, it depends. Personally, I think I'll go the route of, yeah, I'll be a runaway. I'd rather be a runaway than be in a shitty situation like that. Fuck no. I would rather starve to death than be fucking tormented and end up wanting to off myself, But as I said, it's pick your poison. There is no good answer, and everybody's answer differs depending on what they can handle. There's some people who would rather get tormented and have a safe, warm place to sleep and stay at with food always on the available than having to fend for yourself out in the real world. So can we... I want to talk about Shigaraki, because he pops up here, obviously, and it's I don't like him, and I don't like him, period. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't like him. I may or may not have accidentally gotten spoiled, because I was stupid, and I decided, I'm like, oh, look, it's part of a series, and I clicked the series, I'm like, it's part of a series, so there's probably a second one, so probably he doesn't die in the first one, and then I go, and then the second one ends up being an alternative ending, right? And I read it, right? I don't even know. It literally says spoilers to the original, and I continue to read it. It didn't process to me that it said spoilers to the original, and I read it. So I know how kind of Izuku dies, kind of. I will be, the moment a certain event happens, I'm like, fuck, it's happening. No. So yeah, I accidentally spoiled myself because I'm an idiot, and I decided to read after hearing spoilers for the original because my ass didn't think, oh, maybe I shouldn't read it. maybe I shouldn't read that. But yeah, there is an alternative ending where he doesn't die at the end. I'm gonna see if, once I get to that part, obviously, I'm gonna see if I can podfic that as well. Because, you know, happy endings. We love happy endings. I'm gonna cry. God damn it. I want to talk about Aizawa. Aizawa just, man's just bit the bullet. He's just like, you're dying. Like, okay, no hello, no how are you? But no, I get it. I feel like Aizawa is no longer, like, obviously knowing that Shadow is a child now. It's so weird saying Shadow. I have a friend named Shadow. Knowing that Izuku is a child now, he has that mindset of like, okay, I want to now save this kid because clearly there's, you know, a reason why he's a vigilante, right? And, you know, whatever. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this kid's dying. Damn. Okay. Even more reason why I want to save him. And obviously Dadzawa is one of the tags. So let's see if Dadzawa in the sense of mentor Dadzawa or figuratively Dadzawa or literal Dadzawa. There's always a difference. I always see Dadzawa and I'm like, okay, Dadzawa in the sense of he is a parental figure, or Dadzawa in the sense of he is literally your father. Like, not literally, like, biologically, but, like, actually gets adopted, actually gets fostered, actually does that stuff. Like, legitimately father of some way, shape, or form, and not just, I mentally view him as a father figure, you know? Because there's a difference. There is a difference. And I always get upset. I remember I saw this one found family one, and I'm like, oh, I really love it. Dadzawa, the premise seems super cool. And then I finished reading, and I'm like, oh, okay, so Aizawa never adopts Izuku. Okay, alright, I've been bamboozled. It was a good story, don't get me wrong. It would have been that much better if Aizawa adopted Izuku. I love Aizawa adopting Izuku. Don't get me wrong, Aizawa adopting Shinsou is not that bad. It's cool, it's nice, I enjoy it, but Aizawa adopting Izuku is just on another level. Now, while I'm here, and I'm talking about Aizawa adopting Izuku and adoptions, I've been thinking of writing a fanfic. Obviously, people heard me talk about my other fanfic. That one's not getting written anytime soon. I keep changing the plot. It was going through one plot line, then was going through another. I don't know where I want it to lead. So that one's not going to get finished anytime soon because I don't have a direction I want it to go, and I don't have an ending in mind, or I don't even have a direction in mind. It's literally just this premise. I don't know where to go with this premise then. It also would be a very, very long one. But this one is a shindeku fanfic that I'm planning on writing, where it is Izuku was born with a quirk, and it's a cat quirk. It's a cat quirk, Izuku cat, and he's adopted by Midnight because my fans said so. I asked the Discord, and they're like, "Hear me out. Shinsou gets adopted by Mike and Aizawa, and Izuku gets adopted by Midnight, because I've seen a fic like that, and there's not many fics like that." So I'm like, okay, I do see Midnight, fanon Midnight, not canon Midnight. Canon Midnight could burn in a fucking fire for all I fucking care. I fucking hate her. But like fanon Midnight, you know, the one that isn't overly sexualized and creepy. Yeah, that one. I like her like that, because like she does give motherly vibes. I think I like Midnight in the sense of not her hero persona, but like the character itself. But like, I really hate her hero persona as well. Like, I hate specifically how she treats kids in her hero persona. It's one thing if she says that to like an adult. Like, I don't care if she starts like, oh, big boy or whatever, like sexual shit to adults. But when it starts going towards minors, yeah, no. I feel like it should switch up, like, you know, something that's not sexual. Or an innuendo, or anything like that, for that matter. So, yeah, I'm planning on writing that. I already have the chapter breakdown. I haven't finished all the chapter breakdown. The name I was thinking for it is Fluffy Mine. I would eventually podfic this. I'm still debating if I should write it all in one go, in a sitting, and then post, like, updates obviously post updates as I'm podficking, or I write it, post it, and then once I am done, then podfic it. So I'll figure that out. I'll ask advice because I love advice. Love, love, love advice. But so far, chapter breakdowns, I have, what's it called? Oh, can that move? I have chapters 1 through 4 fully broken down. 5 is also halfway done being broken down. So we have 5 chapters already broken down, and I just need to sit down and actually write them now, which shouldn't be that hard. I'm thinking of this being a fairly lengthy fanfic. My problem with this is I don't know where I want it to end. Like, there has to be an ending, and I don't see an ending. Because most stories have, like, a pinnacle point, right? You know, the little line, and then it starts going up, and then it's, like, the critical point, the climax, and then it goes down, and then it, you know, ends. I don't think I'm gonna follow that. I think it's just gonna be a fluffy fic. I think it's just gonna be a fluffy, slow burn fic with reward. Keyword on reward. You know, because I like the reward. And I think I'm just gonna end it on a high note, you know, and then do a little epilogue and have fun with that. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. I don't think I'm gonna have, like, a critical point. I think, like, the climax probably is gonna be, spoiler alert for those who have not seen what happened. Did this happen in season 4 or season 5? Okay, just spoiler alert. I don't know where it happens, but it happens late My Hero Academia. And if you have not finished watching the seasons, please just exit out of the video now. I'm not going to talk about anything else. I'm just going to finish this, and then I'm going to do the outro. You could go ahead and exit out if you don't want to get spoiled. But I'm thinking probably the climax is going to be Obero's reveal thingy. Ugh, but I don't want that to be the climax, because, like, I, like, low-key ship Obero with Midnight. Kind of. A little bit. I don't know. It's a small ship I have. But I also ship Midnight with like, what was that one character? There was this one Midnight ship. It was like a lesbian ship. And I can't remember it. Damn it. I don't know. That might be the critical point. I don't know. I'm still thinking. It's still a work in progress. I don't know how I'm gonna publish it. I'm probably gonna, what's it called? What I'm probably gonna do is, you know, write it, post it, and then once I finish posting it all completely is when I'll podfic it. And I'll probably be working on other fanfictions in the meantime as well. That's the one that I really want to focus on, Shindeku. I think I'm going to start my writing fanfiction era. So let's hope nothing happens to me and AO3 curse doesn't hit me. As always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.